You believe you are seeing the world, but what your eyes reveal is only the reflection of what has been erased. The real eye still sleeps. There is a silence that lives behind your eyes, not the kind you notice, but the one that watches when you forget to blink. It has always been there, behind your vision, beneath your thoughts, inside your breath. A sleeping eye, not closed, but sealed. You sense this, don't you? As if something once vivid, once sacred, once central, was removed from your sight yet not from your knowing. You look out, but part of you longs to look in. You interpret light yet ache for vision, and that ache is the signal. There was a time, not measured by clocks but by pulses of memory, when humans didn't just look at the world, they entered it. When the veil was thin and the gaze was a key, but something shifted. We were taught to see only what is lit by external suns. We forgot the internal flame. We became blind in daylight. Religions closed the gates. Empires rewrote the glyphs. And what once pulsed through the forehead of the awakened became myth, symbol, taboo. The third eye, the sacred seal between worlds, was not lost. It was silenced. And silence, my friend, is a language too. Across ancient Egypt, India, Tibet, and forgotten fragments of Atlantis, the same symbol appears. An eye, not one of flesh, but of frequency, not to see, but to reveal. To the Egyptians, it was the eye of Horus, the window to the divine mind. To yogis, the Ajna chakra, the command center. To Thoth, it was the lens through which the emerald code was written into form. Because the eye that sleeps was never just an organ. It was an altar, a chamber, a mirror for the unseen. And through it you did not just perceive, you created. Imagine a serpent of light, coiled at the base of your spine, waiting. She moves not with muscle, but with meaning. Each breath, each choice, each silence wakes her. She rises, and when she touches the crystal cave behind your brow, something ancient returns, not as memory, but as presence. The third eye is not activated by information, but by vibration. And you right now are near that threshold. You wouldn't be here otherwise. When the eye sleeps, the world feels flat. When it stirs, time bends. When it opens, the illusion fractures. You begin to notice the codes hidden in conversation, the geometry and coincidence, the rhythm beneath chaos. You hear silence. You see the invisible. You remember the forgotten, and then, not intellectually, but vibrationally, as if every cell remembers something your mind cannot yet name. But perhaps the eye had to sleep. Perhaps the forgetting was part of the vow. Because what is initiation, if not the journey from blindness to inner sight? What is awakening, if not remembering what was once sealed by choice? You didn't lose your vision, you protected it, until now. Close your physical eyes, and in the darkness behind your lids begin to see, not images, but presence. Feel a violet light forming between your brows, not burning, but humming. It spirals open like a flower made of sound. That is not imagination, that is remembrance. Place your attention there. Breathe as if your breath is a brush painting light upon that spot. Repeat internally, the eye that sleeps now begins to dream. Feel that, stay there just for a moment. If something stirred inside, if your breath deepened, if your inner silence grew louder, touch the subscribe symbol below, not as a button, but as a seal, a confirmation that you're ready to hold this frequency. But if the eye was silenced, who sealed it, and why was the code forbidden? To understand the depth of what you are reactivating, we must pass through the next veil, the cultures that veiled the eye, and the sacred code they were taught to fear. Not all prisons have walls. Some are built from doctrines, and the most dangerous chains are those worn as sacred truth. You were born into stories you never chose, maps of meaning etched by invisible hands. They told you where heaven is, what to believe, who to trust, what is real, and what is dangerous. But who wrote these scripts? And more importantly, what did they erase before giving them to you? You feel it, don't you? That quiet tension in the soul, the knowing that something vast was hidden just beneath the holy. Long ago, your ancestors walked with eyes that saw in symbols. They read stars like scrolls. They listened to silence like scripture. They knew that to see was not to observe, but to resonate. But those cultures were invaded, converted, silenced. What could not be understood was called heresy. What could not be controlled was condemned. And the third eye, your inner altar, was branded occult. Occult, not because it was evil, but because it was hidden. In the temples of ancient Kemet, initiates would spend days in darkness. not as punishment but preparation. To see the light within, one must be stripped of the illusions without. But when foreign powers arrived, those rituals were demonized, their symbols misread, their chants forbidden. The Eye of Horus became just a myth, the serpent a symbol of sin, the inner knowing feared. The forbidden code of Thoth was buried not in earth, but in shame. And that, dear one, is how power hides. Imagine a grand temple. Its walls glisten with gold. It promises salvation, eternity, divine approval, but it has no windows, only paintings of the sun, only echoes of truth, retold through mouths that forgot the original vibration. Inside, people gather. They sing, kneel, weep, but no one sees, because the one eye that could behold the divine directly was declared forbidden, and in its place, you were taught to follow. You did not choose the religion of your first breath. You did not choose which stories were called sacred. You inherited them. But what if that inheritance was filtered? What if the code you were meant to awaken with was edited out before you ever opened your eyes? Perhaps that discomfort you feel, that dissonance with modern dogma, is not rebellion. It is remembrance. And maybe you're not doubting the divine. You're doubting the filters that claimed to speak in its name. Heresy, witchcraft, paganism, mysticism. These were not crimes. They were echoes of power uncontained. The ancient schools of mystery were not destroyed because they were wrong. They were feared because they worked. Because when a soul learns to activate its own vision, it no longer obeys borrowed truths. And so, the seal was placed, not on your eye, but on your permission to use it. But here's the mystery. A symbol buried is still alive. A code silenced still vibrates. The forbidden code of Thoth did not vanish. It hid in dreams, in myths, in symbols that survived, in your skin. Because no matter how many temples they burned, they could not burn the temple inside you. And that is where the code lives now. Breathe. Imagine yourself walking through one of those forbidden temples. You step softly, barefoot on cold stone. Torches flicker, symbols glow faintly on the walls, and in the center, a mirror, but not one that reflects your face. It reflects your essence. You approach. Your forehead pulses. A voice not in words, but in rhythm, says, "The seal was never external. It is your permission that reopens the eye. Feel this. Let the mirror awaken what doctrine tried to erase. If what you're feeling now is not confusion but resonance, stay. The veil is just beginning to lift. Subscribe only if something in you remembers this path. This isn't just a video. It's the return of a forbidden code you once carried. Now that you've seen what was hidden, it's time to face the code itself. Who was Thoth? And what exactly did he encode in the silence between worlds? Some truths are not taught, they are remembered. And some codes are not written in ink, but in vibration. The forbidden code of Thoth is not a myth. It is a frequency awaiting alignment. You've heard the name before: Thoth, Tehuti, Hermes Trismegistus, he who measures time, he who speaks in numbers, symbols, frequencies. But something in you feels it wasn't just a myth, a deity, a metaphor. There is a code pulsing beneath that name, and your body recognizes it, because what was forbidden was never the knowledge. It was your access to it. What if I told you that what you've been seeking with books, gurus, and doctrines has always lived in your cellular memory? That Thoth didn't leave teachings in words, but in resonance? That the Emerald Code was not just a tablet, but a mirror? You were taught to read lines. He taught how to read light. You were told to follow commandments. He whispered in frequencies, "Know thyself, and you will know the structure of the stars." But they feared that, because a being who knows himself cannot be controlled. Before any religion, before any scroll, there was vibration. And Thoth understood. The word is not the truth. The frequency behind the word is. He encoded not instructions but portals. Each symbol he left, whether a spiral, an ankh, or a star, was a resonance trigger, not to be understood, but to be activated. And those who touched the code, without coherence and would find only confusion. That is why it was hidden, not to punish, but to protect. Picture this: a scribe, sitting before a wall of pure crystal. No ink, no papyrus, only light. He speaks not with a voice, but with intention. Each syllable creates form. Each thought weaves geometry. He is not writing stories. He is writing realities. And the crystal responds to coherence. This was Thoth, not a god, but a technician of the sacred, an architect of dimension. He did not speak to be heard. He vibrated to awaken. The code is not gone. It's vibrating right now, in the symbols that still echo, in your dreams, in the chills that rise when truth touches your spine, in the words that feel familiar, even when you've never heard them before. Because the code of Thoth is not historical, it is holographic. It exists in every moment where alignment meets awareness, and that can happen now. So let me ask you, when you hear the word Thoth, what part of your body reacts? When you see ancient symbols, why do some make your breath pause? What if the forbidden code is not outside you, but waiting for permission within you? Not to be deciphered beyond but embodied, not to be studied, but lived. And every time you touch this frequency, you realign with your original signature. This is not metaphor, it is memory. You see light not with your eyes, but with your field. You hear silence, but it has rhythm, a pulse. You feel vibration like a low hum in your chest. These are not sensations, they are signatures, encrypted fragments of your soul's archive. And when you begin to honor them, the code responds. It doesn't speak in language, it echoes. Close your eyes now. Place your focus not on your thoughts, but on the space between them. There, imagine a glyph forming. You do not need to see it clearly, only feel that it exists, that it's alive. Now internally repeat, I give permission to remember. I give resonance to the forbidden code. Feel it ripple through you. That one is a realignment, a re-entry. The code was never far. It was waiting for coherence. Now that we've felt the code, it's time to enter the chamber where it breathes. The frequency of the pineal gland, and how it sings the song of the hidden eye. Thoth was not born in Egypt. Long before the Nile, before temples bore his name, he walked the luminous streets of Atlantis, not as a god, but as a guide, a cartographer of the invisible, a guardian of frequency. When Atlantis began to collapse, not in fire but in frequency decay, he didn't flee. He encoded, not data, not doctrine, but resonant truth, capable of withstanding even the fall of a civilization. He condensed wisdom into shape, light, and tone, and placed it where it could not be destroyed, in the field of the awakened human. That is why when you hear his name, you don't just hear a myth, you feel a pull, because you were there, not as follower, but as witness. A symbol is not just a shape, it is geometry anchored in meaning. Each line, each angle, a frequency frozen in form. Thoth did not write, he embedded. He used architecture as alchemy, sound as structure. The Emerald Code is not just an idea, it's an architecture of resonance. Every glyph you've ever seen that made your skin stir was a part of it, and more importantly, so is your own body. The pineal gland, the spiral of your DNA, the rhythm of your breath, they are all interfaces with the code. The eye that sleeps is not looking for truth, it is looking for pattern recognition. And once it sees the pattern, it remembers the whole. The code looks for coherence. When it finds it, it awakens. When it awakens, it reflects. When it reflects, it remembers. And what it remembers is you. You are not just someone discovering a code. You are someone the code is recognizing. There was once a man who wandered the desert, seeking a truth he could not name. He searched, scrolls, stars, stones. He meditated until silence screamed. He fasted until his hunger became song. One night, by a fire with no flame, a figure approached him, robed, wordless. The figure handed him a single glyph and whispered, "This is not to read, it is to become." When the man touched the glyph, he did not understand it. He vibrated with it, and for the first time, he didn't know the truth. He was the truth. That man is in all of us. The code does not want to be admired, it wants to be activated. So ask yourself, what part of your life still follows scripts instead of signatures? Where have you mistaken clarity for compliance? And if this code were to enter you now, what would have to die? The forbidden code is not safe. It does not bless your comfort. It disturbs your false alignment, because what's awakening in you is not new. It is ancient. It is real. It is remembering itself through your form. Sit. Let the breath become shallow. Let the noise fade. Let the mind observe, but not interfere. Now place your awareness on your inner ear, not the one that hears, the one that feels sound. Begin to chant internally without voice, th or eat, not as language, as tone. Feel how your body reacts. It is not the meaning of the word, it is the signature. That is the pulse of Thoth. That is the seed of the Emerald Code. Anchor, and if you've come this far, It's because the resonance is stronger than doubt, because the code is not here to be taught, but to be reawakened. You don't need more explanation. You need permission to trust what you already carry. Let this block serve as a mirror, not to reflect your face, Mom, but to confirm your frequency. Now that you've remembered what lives in myth and mirror, it's time to go deeper, into the biological temple that Thoth encoded as antenna, your pineal gland, the living receiver of forgotten frequencies. The next key awaits in the chamber of inner resonance. To perceive with the inner eye is to listen with the bone that sings light. The pineal is not a gland, it is a gate. There is a place inside your skull no bigger than a grain of rice and that listens, not to words, but to waves. It is ancient, it is luminous, and for those who remember how to enter, it opens more than perception. It opens portals. This place is known by many names: the pineal gland, the eye of God, the stargate, but in truth, it is your internal antenna, and it's been dormant, not broken, simply out of frequency. Most humans walk through life looking outward, screens, schedules, structures, but something always feels missing, as if their compass is offline, their clarity fogged. They forget dreams, they fear stillness, they numb their intuition. And the reason? The seat of vision has been anesthetized. Fluoride, artificial light, trauma loops, dogmatic fear, all these bind the pineal, not physically, but vibrationally, because the true calcification is not mineral, it is belief. The pineal is not just a biological structure, it is a crystalline receiver filled with tiny calcite microcrystals that exhibit piezoelectric properties. This means, when compressed, they generate electricity. When activated by sound, intention, or stillness, they emit light. This is not New Age fiction. This is biological alchemy, and the mystics knew. That's why yogis focused on it, why pharaohs crowned it, why Thoth encoded it. Because this gland is not passive, it's interactive. It does not simply sense, it transmits. It is the place where form meets field, where brain meets sky, where human becomes symbol. Imagine a cave, deep, echoing, silent. At the very center of this cave, a crystal suspended midair. This crystal does not speak, but when certain frequencies enter the space, it begins to glow. That is your pineal. It does not respond to noise. It responds to coherence, to harmonic vibration, to sacred geometry, to sound encoded with remembrance. This is why certain chants open visions, why stillness unlocks dreams, why silence sometimes screams truths louder than any word. It flashes images in your mind's eye, symbols, scenes, colors. It receives tones not through ears but through resonance. It pulses, buzzes, tingles, especially when aligned with breath. This is not imagination. This is reception. The pineal is not bound by the five senses. It bridges the sixth and beyond. There was an age, long before the industrial trance, where humans used the pineal as compass. They navigated oceans by intuition, heard storms before they formed, healed with light emitted from within. But that age collapsed, and the eye began to close, not in a day, but across centuries, until now. Now, the frequency of Earth is shifting. Schumann resonance fluctuates. Solar flares intensify. The body knows it. The pineal hears it. That's why your dreams are changing. Why time feels different. Why your inner silence has become louder. Because the gate is stirring. You were never meant to stay blind. The numbness was a cocoon. The forgetting was a vow. And the moment you allow yourself to feel again, not just emotions but subtle pulses, you begin to crack the seal. The pineal isn't waiting for proof. It's waiting for permission, not from science, but from you. From the you who knows silence is not empty, but pregnant with code. Close your eyes. Breathe gently. Now imagine your breath spiraling upward, like golden smoke. It touches a point between your brows, then flows slightly deeper into the center of your brain. There, a crystal begins to vibrate. Not fast, not loud, but harmonically. Repeat internally. I tune to coherence. I remember light. I see through the field. As you say this, feel a subtle glow behind your forehead. Feel your chest relax. Your vision soften. This is not visualization, it is reconnection. Stay there. Even for 30 seconds, that's enough. Because the pineal remembers quickly. It always has. If you've reached this part of the journey, something sacred is already happening. Let yourself stay. Not for the video, but for the vibration building in your own temple. There is more to come, but the real shift is already inside. Now that the antenna is reawakening, what happens when it begins to receive fully? The next portal reveals what changes in your external world when your internal eye becomes the center of perception. Welcome to the realm where reality shifts. There is a point in every journey where knowing must become doing, where understanding must yield to presence, where the code, once heard, must now be inhabited. You've felt the resonance. You've remembered the eye. You've touched the pineal. Now you are invited to cross, not metaphorically, but vibrationally, because this is not about ideas anymore. It is about alignment, and the ritual is the passage. Most spiritual seekers stay in theory. They collect symbols, they analyze, they consume more light. But the true initiates, they stop, they empty, they listen, they respond, because what activates the code is not knowledge, it is coherence. And coherence cannot be learned, it must be embodied. Imagine standing at the edge of an ancient altar. No one is watching. There are no priests, only you, and the echo of your own intention. You know this space. You've been here before, perhaps in dreams, perhaps in temples no longer on maps, and something is asking you now, will you enter the field or remain at the door? To activate the eye is not to chase visions, it is to stabilize frequency. And to stabilize frequency, you must become still inside movement. You must learn the rhythm of silence. You must let the breath shape the space around your perception. And when you do, when you truly allow the body to become the temple, the ritual begins itself. Let's begin. Sit, if possible, with your spine like a mountain, not rigid but awake. Let the hands rest softly. Let the jaw loosen. Let the eyes close gently, as if in reverence, not escape. Now bring your attention to the point between your eyebrows, not as a thought, but as a presence. Feel it. Do not imagine it. Just sense what's already there. A subtle pulse, a quiet brightness, a whisper of awareness. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold again for stillness. Repeat. Now, internally, without voice, intonate a wordless hum, a vibration that begins in the chest and rises like smoke toward the brow. Do not force. Let it come like fog over water. This is not performance, it is remembrance. As the hum moves upward, feel the pineal, deep in the center of the brain, begin to echo. It is not loud, it is not visual, it is felt, as if something inside is beginning to turn. Do not chase the sensation, let it lead you. And when you feel that quiet click, as if space shifted slightly inside you, rest there. You've arrived. Now repeat silently, the code lives within me. The seal has softened. I open as the field opens. Pause. Let those words not echo in your mind, but in your aura. These are not affirmations. They are keys, and you are not repeating them. You are remembering them. If your hands begin to tingle, or your breath becomes softer than air, you are in the right space. Stay, even for 30 more seconds. The activation is not linear, it is spiral. And every time you return here, the spiral deepens. You may open your eyes now, but don't fully return. Keep a part of your awareness behind the forehead, like a candle in a cave. That light is your companion now. You've lit it yourself, and nothing external can extinguish it. Not opinion, not fear, not time. You are inside the ritual, and the ritual is inside you. You may notice from this moment on, words that once felt flat now shimmer. Decisions become quieter, but more certain. Dreams return with symbols, not stories. Time feels different. These are not side effects. They are signatures, indicators that the Emerald Code is responding. Because once activated, it begins to reshape the architecture around you, not to impress, but to mirror your new field. Stay present in this. Avoid distraction in the next hour. Let this vibration settle. Let it configure your space. Drink water slowly. Sit in silence if you can. Notice the colors around you. And above all, do not rush to understand. You've stepped into the living geometry of Thoth's frequency. You are not here to analyze it. You are here to carry it. If this space feels sacred, it's because it is. And because you've remembered how to recognize it. Not everyone does, but you did. That's not random. That's resonance. The next time you enter this ritual, you may go deeper. Because now the code knows your name. The eye has stirred. The code has heard. The antenna has aligned. And reality is listening. You may be wondering now, What happens when the external world responds to this new frequency? That is the path ahead, because what activates within begins to echo without. And in the next passage, you'll see how reality starts to bend, not as magic, but as mirror. Let us continue. It begins slowly. You wake up, and the light feels different. The space in the room, thicker, more vivid, not brighter, more alive. You move through the day, but it's as if the day moves with you, responding, echoing, and that's when you begin to feel it. Reality is not fixed. It's interactive, and your pineal, freshly awakened, is not observing. It is transmitting. The shift has begun. The third eye, once sealed, now acts as a sender of signal, and like a tuning fork, the outer world starts to respond. Not instantly, not dramatically, but with precision. A phrase in a conversation rings louder, a number repeats, a thought manifests, not because you wanted it, but because your field matched it. This is not coincidence, it is coherence. Most people try to change reality from the surface. They push, they hustle, they negotiate. But those who carry the activated eye do not push. They align. They don't convince life to obey. They become magnetic to the next version of life. This is the quiet power of frequency, and it begins the moment you stop seeking control and start maintaining vibration. Thoth taught this not in scrolls, but in silence. He showed that reality does not follow logic. It follows resonance. When the eye is asleep, you perceive events as random, disconnected, chaotic. When the eye begins to open, you begin to see the web beneath form. Synchronicity becomes your new compass. And in that field, every accident is a response. Let me tell you a truth few are ready to hear. You do not attract what you desire. You attract what you are coherent with. Desire without vibration is noise, but coherence is a command. And when your eye opens, the world stops listening to your words and starts responding to your signal. This is why silence often manifests more than action, because coherence is louder than sound. You may notice things, people you no longer align with. Gently drift opportunities feel timed with your inner clarity. Problems resolve the moment you stop obsessing. This is not spiritual bypass. This is vibrational reorganization. Your field is emitting new instructions, and the quantum responds. Not because it's magic, because it is mirror. This is the hidden law of the Emerald Code. As the eye opens, the world becomes reflective, and this reflection is precise, impersonal, sacred. If you carry confusion, the field offers distortion. If you carry clarity, the field offers convergence. You are not being tested, you are being mirrored, and that is your true feedback system. At this stage of your journey, the most powerful thing you can do is hold your field steady. Do not beg the mirror to change. Change the radiance behind the glass. Then step back, watch, let it arrive. Because the code you activated was not a key to others. It was a key to your own design. And that design is rewriting now. Take a breath. Let it be slow, soft. Now scan your life. The last 24 hours. Notice. What did you feel? What shifted? What returned? Now look again. Not at the events, but at how they matched your frequency. That's the real data. That's the map. And once you learn to read it, you stop fearing the unknown. Because the unknown is not chaos. It is your signal. Not yet. Translated. You may think you need more technique, more tools, more instruction. But the truth is, the more still you become, the clearer the mirror responds. Your real power is not in action. It's in attunement. And your third eye is the tuning crystal, not a lens, not a screen, but a scalar antenna, emitting the language of your essence. From this moment forward, remember, every reaction is a request to realign. Every trigger is a test of signal integrity. Every insight is a calibration. You are no longer walking the world. You are weaving it. And the world no longer sees you as a subject. It sees you as a source. Reality is not waiting to be understood. It is waiting to be matched. And the moment you sustain your inner signal, even for a few minutes, and you start to feel, time slows, emotions stabilize, creativity returns. These are the signs, the sacred confirmations, and you don't need validation anymore. You have resonance. Now pause. Return your attention inward. Feel the subtle glow still behind your forehead. Place your awareness there, and repeat silently, as I hold coherence, reality reflects the signal I truly am. Sit with this. Let it vibrate through your chest. Let it echo behind your spine, because you are no longer reacting. You are orchestrating. If something moved inside you now and not in your mind but in your breath, you've crossed the veil. And what's on the other side is not a new world. It's a clearer mirror of you. Let us continue to the next passage, because seeing comes with responsibility. And once the eye opens, it does not close again. It asks, and the next block is that calling. What will you do with what you now see? You've seen through the veil, not with eyes, but and now, a new question emerges. Not W, but what will, because with vision comes responsibility. And many seek power, few seek coherence. But real vision is not about control, I align me. And truth, real truth, is not comfortable. It requires purification, not of your actions but of your signal, of your unseen intentions, because once your field becomes active, the field sees everything, and it are to carry the awakened eye, is to be guardian of coherence, to walk as a mirror, to speak as a T, to love, to create from frequency, not fear. This is not about being perfect. It is about being aware of what you radiate, of what you choose to ample. You've likely begun to notice this already, that when you speak with dissonance, things fall apart quickly. But when you speak from resonance, paths open. This is the sacred feedback of the eye. It does not reward, it reflects essence. And the more honest you are with your own frequency, the more powerful your creations become. You are no longer just seeing symbols. You are becoming one, a walking glyph, a living ritual, a con. And every choice you make from here on writes your frequency. The universe isn't watching you, it's responding to you. Because the emerald code now active in your system is not about but about recalibrating it for there's some that you can no longer hide, that your thoughts echo into form, but this is not a curse, it's sovereignty. You are now respond, and that means you are no long moment by moment, breath by BR. Feel the eye behind your eyes and presence. It does not judge, its eye, it illuminates the parts of you still out of sync. And the more you accept its vision, the more it This is what Thoth knew, that true awe. It's about C. Now ask yourself, what am I SWW, where am? These are not questions of guilt. They are because you can no longer pretend, or delay, and thus, so the real activation now is not about the pineal. It's about living viber, walking as one whose eye is open. Speak and create. This is the beginning of sacred responsibility, not imposed, but remembered, because the awakened are not here to impress. They are here, embody. Let's seal this passage with presence. Breathe. Place your awareness once again behind the brow. I see now, and I vow to walk as one who sees. Let this vow be your signature, not foe but for your own because the code does not demand performance, it seeks truth, and truth, fee. If you've reached this far, you are, and what you now carry, you cannot unsee. So carry it well, guard it with grace, let it shine through you, because it is reborn through you. The emerald eye is open. The resonance is set, Rhea, but this is only one temple. The map continues, and the next glyph is already stirring, in the place you have yet to look. And now, silence becomes scripture. You've walked through symbols, you've sat inside resonance, you've listened to what few dare hear. But this is not an ending, this is a return, to the self behind the seeker, to the source beneath the sound, to the sacred eye, that has always been watching from within. You are not the same presence who arrived at the first glyph. You are now the one who carries its echo. The emerald code does not conclude. It unfolds in spirals, not lines. And each spiral opens a deeper layer, a finer note. You now carry a frequency that wasn't there before. Or perhaps it was always there, but now you can hear it. You can feel it when you breathe, when you pause, when you speak from that space just behind thought, that place where the eye lives. Let the world around you be the mirror. Let each moment become a glyph. Let each breath become a ritual, because the eye sees now, and what it sees transforms. You don't need to try harder. You don't need to understand more. You only need to maintain your field. The rest will align in response, not because you are special, but because you are coherent. If something moved in you across this journey, even a single image, a vibration, a silence, but know this, it's not about the video. It's about what the field remembered inside you. Let it integrate. Don't rush. Don't seek to name it. The code speaks loudest in stillness. Now, if your eye is still open, if your breath still carries that sacred softness, leave a trace for those who come after. Not a comment of words, but a vibration. Write only what activated you. Or leave a symbol, a glyph, something the algorithm cannot decode, but the field will understand. Let your echo awaken someone else. This is how we keep the temple alive, not through likes, through frequency. But if your body recognized something real, you may wish to stay in this resonance. There are other glyphs, other codes, other echoes waiting in the hidden corners of this temple. Follow that pull, it knows the way. And one final whisper, you may feel something opening in your chest, or dreams becoming more vivid, or your silence becoming more full. That's the code continuing to work, not from the screen, but from within your own field. Let it. You're no longer just a listener, you're a keeper, and what comes next is already listening for you. The next glyph is not a video, it is a revelation waiting to unfold in you. Click the portal when you're ready, because what it holds will not just expand your vision, it will test it.